All right, Travis says we started.
Hello.
We have up to 8 hours
8 hours.
before it'll cap us off.
Excellent.
Hello, everyone. I'm Al Urach. With me, another, I don't know if you're a special guest anymore, but the ongoing guest, Travis.
I'm always
here.
special.
That's true. We are here for the Salutio Hour Power to answer any questions you guys might have on the website, our products, our company, or whatever else in general. So we got some good suggestions from last time, and we got actually a number of questions. But that being told, it's always good to have lots of more questions. So if you want to ask a question, go to salutiosoftware.com/power, and there is a form that we've created there on the right-hand side. So list your name, your website, and your question. Go ahead and submit question, and that'll send an email to us that we'll be checking throughout today's show. But we do have some questions to start with. So any announcements or special things?
I don't think there's any for me. I should have shaved. I forgot about that.
So should have I. Okay. So there's that. All right. So questions we have so far. Number one, Karen from Garden City asks, or comment, I was trying to create another folder in my picture organizer, but when I transfer a picture into the new file, it does not show up in the rotator. I have so the context is here. I have a stewardship rotator picture almost every week, and I wanted to put them in a file named stewardship rotator or something like that. I figured there is some kind of information that must be in the new file that I've not included. So, so a rotator question. So let's hop on over to Garden City's site. So this would be, there's two of them. Let's see here. I think St. Dominic thing.
It says St. Mary.
Oh, it's St. Mary.
Yeah, from Karen at St. Mary Gardens.
St. Mary GC. There's two Catholic churches in town. I always get mixed up which one's which. Okay. We need to do a little screen sharing. All right. So here's St. Mary's site. And what she's talking about, I think, unless I'm going down the wrong path, is these slideshow here on the right-hand side, which they can swap out. FYI, it looks like they are using some of our predefined graphics, which is something we've been doing recently. Michelle, who's on the other side of the cubicle, she has been creating new slideshows, just kind of different topical things. So one of the ones that's going on right now with the 100 years of Fatima, she created some graphics for that. But things like for the Ascension or whatever else, we have like we've had one for Holy Week, for Easter, and so on, for Divine Mercy Sunday. So keep a lookout for those. We send them in the monthly updates. We'll send links to the new ones that are out there, but you can go ahead and check that at any time. I think the link that we sent out kind of takes you to the base directory, and then you can go and dig in there further. And that's something that we'll just kind of continue to add in. You know, a little bit of good graphic design goes a long ways to make things look pretty neat. So how do we change these out? How do we maybe create a folder in there? So let's go ahead and log in here. We'll take a look. Okay. So first of all, just kind of creating a structure for where she wants these. So like a stewardship rotator folder. Typically, yeah, when you want to do any editing as far as the structure of your file system, like how your photos are organized, you're going to be going into the image manager. It should be the 5th button for most folks. If you click on that, that will open up. And in here, we're going to see all of the current folders that you have access to. It looks like there's one called Stewardship Rotator already here. Let's dig in. and see. It doesn't look like any photos are in here. I'm going to guess that the system's having a little bit of trouble. And again, yeah, there's not a pop-up window that tells you this, but there is there's a space in the name, so that may be causing an issue. So let's go into the article manager, and we're going to filter down for the rotator. And so we see some of the items here. Let's just do Mary and look at the images and links is typically where we put these. Okay, so we have the rotator here, Mary.jpg. So this is where, if you ever want to swap that out, the image of Mary, or or introduce a new slide. For most of our sites, you'd go into the article manager, go down into that particular category, and then the image that it pulls from is typically underneath images and links. So if I hit select here, you're already in the folder. Realize that, like, whatever folder has been selected. So you could click, you click up here where it says rotator, and we would change this to stewardship rotator. Okay, so here's where the error is coming. So basically this system, it doesn't look like can handle the space. So yep, that's something that that I suspected. I'll make sure to write down a note for that. Again, something we can correct on our end, just basically if the system's going to crash. Again, that's something we can't control in certain instances because Joomla, for one reason or other, can't handle that. But we might be able to make it so that way when you try to introduce a new folder like that, it won't allow something that breaks those rules to happen. So basically what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to delete the existing one. Hit new folder and stewardship rotator. We're going to have a lot better luck with this one. So I'll go ahead and hit create. So just basically from the and we're already in it. So basically just, I would say the best practice here is all lowercase and no spaces or weird characters. Just do like dashes or whatever if you need to kind of separate out words. Now I'm going to guess we're going to be able to go to the article manager. So we'll go into the Mary thing again here and hit select. And now I bet if we go to stewardship rotator, now we can actually get into this folder, and now we can choose files and upload into it. So I'm not going to mess with their current site, but Karen, that should take care of things now. Now you have that folder, you can upload as much as you want and just select them as before. You guys are already familiar with it. It looks like you guys have changed out a lot of the slides on a regular basis. So it sounds like you're already good to go for that. But now you have a folder that you can separate out those stewardship items. And you could have a whole year's worth of stuff and just swap it in and out as you go through. Okay, so first question, Karen, if that doesn't answer your question, make sure to leave something in the comments, send us something back, but now you should be in much better shape. So I found a tool this last week, care of Maria Eck. We were doing some graphic design for a new logo for our own parish. And she brought my attention to a really neat tool that I wanted to share with you guys. It's called Canva. So for some of you that are unfamiliar with kind of working with graphic design, I know a lot of parishes that we work with, there's a lot of emphasis on using Publisher because it's just a pretty straightforward tool. A lot of people have it installed, and so they use that. Now, as I've gone through with parishes and used Publisher, basically, kind of show you that. What I do is, so it doesn't have a normal way to export out a file. And maybe I've shown this tip before, but this is helpful, but I'm going to show a better way. So I'm just going to, first of all, show you kind of the current state of affairs, and then we'll go from there. So Publisher, again, this is a newer version maybe than some of you are using, but basically we'll just start off with a blank template. What you can do in here, if you have, let's see here, I'll need to add some pics here to this. So say I add in some pictures and stuff and put them together. Oh, let's not do that. There we go. Okay, so click there, and then we'll add another little thing. Okay, and say you have a little graphic that you create in here, and maybe you put some words on there. Insert some word art. This is our parish fair. There you go. All right, this is a horrible logo, but there you go. Okay, so say that's your logo. You want to put that into a rotator. What I've been doing so far with some folks is we kind of create like a template. Like basically, we would insert in a border. I would insert I need like a object shapes. There we go. Okay, so I basically insert in a rectangle that's the exact dimensions of the rotator. Okay, so say that was the dimensions, and we'll send this to the back. You can see how good I am at this program. Send backward. Send to back. Okay, so there's my logo, and I might remove the whatever, the outline or whatever. So in the end, what I would do with parishes, right? So if we had that box that was the exact right dimensions, Publisher doesn't necessarily have a way to just dynamically export out a JPEG or a PNG. But what you can do is if you highlight all the items, and again, making that border be the exact right dimensions, if you highlight everything and then you right click, you can save as picture. Okay. And so then you can create a PNG or whatever to then put into your rotator. The limitations of this are, like the fact that you have to make sure that that box is the exact right size. So that takes some some testing back and forth and can kind of be time consuming. So I've helped parishes go through that process. And then once they have that template, then they can use it going forward. You also have to keep everything inside the box. So it's a little limitation. You can't have something go to the edge of the box and flow over and for it to crop it off. Anyway, it's just not a beautiful solution, but it is something that works. So again, in Publisher, if you want to create a custom graphic, throw it all together like you like, right click, and then hit save as picture. So that's one way. That again, I've shown a lot of parishes how to do, and because a lot of them are familiar with Publisher. However, so I'm going to stop this. This is a new program that I like a lot. It's called Canva. Let's see here. Let's bring it up. canva.com. Oh, designs. Okay, so this is one. It's kind of collaborative. It's kind of neat. And this is actually what is it? It's designed for quick prototyping for things like rotators or even like social media. So if you want to get into doing things on Pinterest or whatever, there's some already pre-configured kind of sizes and recommendations that it already has. So it can make posting more of a graphical element to Facebook a lot easier. In fact, you can see here, Watermelon on Their Way. I was playing around with this after I found it. This was a social media post that I posted. So for our little produce business for our family, but it was really quick to create, and it brought a lot more attention to, the post that I said, whatever, we've got plants in the ground. We're excited to share our produce with you. This is a way to kind of help people to visualize that. So again, if you're doing, I'd highly recommend this if you're going to be doing Facebook posts to help bring a little bit of pop and pizzazz to your posts. But In this specific case, the rotator, right? So basically you go to canva.com, you create an account. If you don't have one, you can log in with your Google account or whatever. You can sort these by, so go ahead and use your Google account so you don't even have to create a new account for them, which is kind of cool. And so when you get here, what you're going to want to do is use custom dimensions. So you click there. Again, this is for the rotator. And then you can specify a specific width and height, right? So in this case, for St. Mary, people are like, okay, well, what width and height do I use? A lot of times during training, I'll give you those dimensions. But in case you forget them or you don't know what they are, a really easy way to do this is to click on your rotator and drag the picture to your desktop. Let's change this up so you can see. Sorry, I have a really big screen, so this is going to be a little crazy looking, but okay, so here's my screen, my full screen. I'm looking at the St. Mary GC, St. Mary GC website. I click and I drag this photo to my desktop, and I'm going to get that picture there on my desktop. Now, if I click off of it and then I hover over it, you're going to see a little pop-up box. I know that's too small for everybody to see there, but it says 680 by 470. So that's the quickest way I know. I mean, you can get in there and do an inspection or download the photo, but if you just click and drag, and then again, this is in Windows, if you just hover over that picture, it'll have a little status thing that tells you those dimensions. It's the quickest way that I know how. Okay, so let's go back to Canva. And okay, so we're in here at our design. Just start over so you can see. So we're looking at our home page here. We click on Use Custom Dimensions, and in this case, for Garden City, there's just going to be 680 by 470, and PX stands for pixels. That's the correct. And you can do things like by inches or millimeters, but in this case, we want to use pixels. Okay, so we'll go ahead and hit Design, and we'll get a fresh little deal here. And there's different layouts that we can work with. There's different templates and ideas. All of your different elements are over here on the left-hand side. There's text. Say if we want to do this. So medieval since 1916. Oh, that's funny. Let's make that. And then let's put a picture in the background, and we're going to get a search for cats. This is my go-to thing. Let's get cats. So here we go. We'll take the
cats have been medieval
kitties.
I mean, they've been around since.
All right, so drag that off, and then I'll drag it in here. Again, all this is drag and drop. It's super easy to use. So my kitty got uploaded. Now I can click on my kitty. And so again, it's not going to, this original image of this cat is huge, but I don't have to do all kinds of weird resizing and stuff. All right. All right, now Travis, now I am in, okay, so arrange, we'll go back. There we go. All right. So I got kitty. He's medieval, and you can drag and drop and stretch around. And see my text here. I'm probably going to want to change the color of that so we can see it better to, let's say, white. Again, we don't need to go through all of the things for this tool, but there's a lot of neat things here to play around with, and we can change this to green, whatever. Okay, so there's my medieval kitty since 1911.
Sitting on a laptop.
Sitting on a laptop.
Very medieval.
It's kind of very ironic. Okay, so Go Crazy, again, is very similar to drag and drop design, very similar to something like Publisher, but we got very customized dimensions. Everything's in one spot, and it's going to be easier to export this out. There's also other elements and things that they give you, like frames. So, they could insert 2 different pictures there, it looks like. So, I don't know. There's a lot to play around here, and I haven't even gone So you can probably put like an overlay on top of these things. So what if I drag my? Oh, it's like a filter thing. Anyway, all right. So this is super cool. Play around in there. There's lots of, I'm sure there's lots of tutorials, but canva.com, very easy tool to play around in here. You can share these designs with another person, so you can have kind of a collaborative type of environment. And when you're all done and you're ready to post this to your site, hit download. And PNG is fine. Probably to be a little bit smaller, I'd use JPEG, but again, PNG, the default one is fine, but JPEG, if you think about it, I'd probably do that one instead. Hit download, it'll say saving your design, it'll take a second, and then it's gonna pop up in your downloads. So there it is, you see down at the bottom left part of my screen, there is the medieval JPG. So that is now ready to go. And I'll open that up, and then I'll share that part of my screen with you. So there's my medieval kitty. It's on my desktop, ready to upload into the new system. No problem. Pretty straightforward. Now, Canva, how do they make money? How does this all work? My goodness, why can I use these amazing tools
For free.
for free? Well, because the internet's awesome. No, because they sell different extended packages. So if you want, like, you know, like some additional fonts or pictures or whatever, basically it's a would call a freemium product. So you get a bunch of the features, and then if you want to extend the features and get some additional elements, then you can pay, which you're welcome to do. None of that money gets to us. I'm not a salesman for Canva, but there you go. I will get commission. So pretty neat tool there that I so far that I've seen. I highly recommend. You know, some of these tools come in and out of existence. It certainly wouldn't be the first one that would go away, but a lot of times, yeah, use the tools that are good that are there, and then when they go away, then find the next generation. So, but in this case, it looks like this is a well thought out tool. It's pretty established, and the person that I was working with has been using it for quite a while now for some of their graphic design. So, thanks, Maria, for the tip. I think it's definitely something a good tool for folks to use. Okay. Any new questions?
There's the one from Jane from Dice.
Okay.
Belleville.
Okay. I didn't if there's any new.
No, there hasn't been any other new ones. Double check.
Okay. All right. So there's multiple ways to do that. Just a reminder, you can go to solutiosoftware.com/power and submit a question there. That will send us an email that we will actually bring that up so we can check to see if we have anything there, if there's comments, or if you have something to add, certainly let us know. You know,
Yeah, right now it looks like those are all the ones that we've got.
Yep, nothing new there. Very good. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at the next question. Jane from the Diocese of Belleville. Could you walk us through creating a live link for websites and phone numbers? Yes, I can. Okay, so let's go on to, let's see here. I want to do a new, or we can go to their site. It's fine. Okay, so Diocese Belleville, one of our newer sites. And we'll take a look at this.
When she says a live link and phone numbers, what's she referring to?
Well, I think she's referring to the ability to link text to either to another website, sometimes to an email address, or to a telephone number, which is kind of a newer thing. So let me dive in there. What's that?
Yep.
You're
Just making sure
all right.
everybody's on the same page.
Very good.
I get lost easily.
Mm-hmm. Do you?
No. that was a lot.
Jane's on there right now, so she's watching.
Hey, that's
watching
right.
us like
I
a
see
hawk.
her.
Very good. All right. So how do we create live links? So, okay. Test article. Ooh, come on, type. Keyboard. Okay.
You still got a big.
I know. Let's just go.
Just
Okay.
making sure you.
So former bishops, we're not going to actually save this. So, all right. So if we want to create a link, so basically I want to take you through 3 items: a link to a website, a link to an email address, and a link to a phone number. Those are all just slightly different. So if I want to link to another website, say I want to link to an awesome website such as solutiosoftware.com, saying how great they are, what wonderful service they provided for us. So
Every parish should work with them.
there you go. Hey,
But we are biased.
totally biased. Okay, so here we go. So this is our blah blah, our organizations page where we list out some more recent organizations. Okay, so we're gonna hit copy here. So basically, first thing that I always do is I go to the website that I want to link to, and I copy its address. And in this system, you need the entire website address, so the HTTP : / the whole thing. Take note, in I think Firefox and Chrome and probably Internet Explorer by now, if you copy that URL, it will go ahead, even though it doesn't say HTTP, it will actually copy that. So just highlight the entire website address up there up top and hit copy. Okay, first step done. Travis, you okay?
I'm tracking.
All right, we're tracking. Trying to help you out here. Okay, so now I would say, this is an company to work with. Okay. So now if I wanted to make that, so again, you can link to a particular word or a phrase. So let's say this is an awesome company. We'll make that the link. So what you do, so the second step is you highlight the words that you want to make a link. Now you can highlight, you can make a picture a link too. That's fine. So if you do, you highlight it and you click on the picture, and then you can do the same step. But in this case, I'm going to link text. So I'll highlight the text and click on the chain link button, which is should be on your toolbar. It should be the 3rd one from the end. And if you hover over it, it'll say insert edit link, but it should be a chain link. If this button is deactivated and you can't click on it, then it means that you don't have any text or any picture selected. So it can't link to nothing. So make sure to highlight the item and then click on the little chain link button. You'll have a pop-up window, which you can't see. So let me change over to that. So here's the little pop-up window. Ooh, that's large.
That's massive.
Okay, so it's going to appear a little smaller on your screen when you actually do it. And so you would right-click here, and you would paste in your text. So this is the address for where it's going to go. The only thing you have to do here is hit insert. There's one option that some people certainly do change up, and that is the target. If you want, by default, it's going to open it up in a new window. But if you want it to stay in the same window, you could select where it says open link in same window. It's one of the drop-down items. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and leave it to the default option, which is to open up in a new tab or new window. So on the screen, we just hit insert. And now, if we go back to the screen that we're working with, you should see it's now highlighted in blue. Now, realize that in your editor, it's always going to highlight it in blue here because this is an approximation of what it's going to look like on your website. But say, like the Diocese of Belleville, their highlight color is green. When it actually gets saved to the website, the links, basically it says, okay, the styling for this website is to make links green. So it will change that out for you. You don't have to override any of that color. That's something that we would do from our end if you do want to swap that out. But so in the editor, though, it's going to appear blue. And if you hover over it, it's going to underline. Okay, so that's step 1. Or that's process 1 if you want to link to another website. Say you want to link to an email address. Email us at al@solutiosoftware.com. Okay, if I want to link this to my email address, what I do, again, just like before, I'm going to highlight that text, and in this case, I'm going to copy. I'm going to copy that text. So Control C, or you can right click on it and click on copy. I'm going to click on that same chain link button. And let me switch over to that so you can see that. This might actually be easy if you can just see my whole screen. Let me change something here. We'll go over here. And then I'll share this. Oh, oops. Here we go. Okay. So you should see this here on my screen. So, all right. So I highlighted over the text, right-clicked, and copied the address. Now, if I want to make my email address a link, I'll click on the same chain link button. There's a little pop-up window here, and I'm going to paste into here. Now, something that the system is smart enough to know is it knows it's an email address. So if you hit insert, there's going to be a pop-up that's going to say, hey, do you want to make this a mail link? So I hit insert, and there it is. It says the URL you see seems to be an email address. Do you want to add a required mail to prefix? So I would say yes. Yes, I do. So now you see that it changes it out. It says mail to al@solutiosoftware.com. Okay. Hit insert. Now it's an email address. So really, in all practicality, it's pretty much the exact same steps, except the system is going to ask you if you want to make it a mail link.
Is that specific to the browser that it will recognize that?
Nope, specific to Joomla. So it doesn't matter what browser you're on, it'll have that pop-up window. The third case, and this is most important for mobile. So again, more and more of your traffic's going to be on the mobile phone. It's around a 50-50 split, I think, for a lot of places that we work with. But being able to tap on a phone number is a pretty cool thing. So say you want to do that. So what we would do is we'd say, you know, call us today. So say we want to make, so maybe we would do this. We would do 555. Okay, so say we want it. So that's our phone number. It's not really, but say that is. Say we want to be able for people to tap on that and call us. What I would do is I would copy that phone number. I would highlight it, hit the same chain link button just as before. So everything's the same so far. We'd paste into here, and then this is this is the magic part here. What we do, this is a new prefix. Well, it's not so new anymore, but this is a newer prefix.
It may be new to you, this.
Yeah, I'm just saying on the internet, like it's kind of something that they've started to do a lot.
Right.
Basically, you need a prefix. So just like the mail to prefix, we need a telephone prefix that tells it this is a special type of link. It's a telephone number. So what you do is you put in TEL for telephone, TEL : So if you put in TEL : and then the phone number, and I don't know that the format matters too much. I think the systems are smart enough to like parse it all out. So I don't think you need to do anything right now. So
don't worry about like a +1, the parentheses,
or the dots or the dashes. You just put in the number. So TEL, just like telephone, TEL : and then whatever your number is. Go ahead and hit insert. And now that is a phone number. So if somebody, again, if you're on the desktop and you click on it, I don't know that it'll do anything.
If you have Skype installed.
If you do, yep, that's true. If you do have Skype installed, it will call via Skype. But if you have a phone number, or I'm sorry, a mobile phone, you tap on that, there you go. It'll call you directly. So, boom. That's the question from Jay.
You want to refresh that?
Oh, man, okay.
Got a new question came in from Brother Gary Coulter.
All right.
Diocese of Lincoln.
All right. We are finally looking to do some more email marketing suggestions, tips, best practices.
Father, Coulter, assuming you're watching and listening, you just hit Al's hot button topic.
That's
Hot topic
right.
button.
Hot topic button. That is true.
You should get one. I would hit it.
So, okay. And actually, to be honest, Father, we were looking at some of your stuff the other day because Travis was asking me for some examples, and I thought I had created a little bit of a custom page for you, and so I wasn't sure if you were using that yet, but I couldn't find where you were using it. Anyway, long story short, I'll show that off, but it's something you can use. All right, so tips around that. First of all, just a little bit of context for everybody out there. Like email, I'm sure I've said this a million times, probably during this same thing. So here you go, in case there's anybody new. I honestly, I completely believe that email is the unsung hero of digital communication. So these tools realize they work in concert with each other. They can't stand alone. Social media without a website, that's a hard sell. Like, so you can announce things, but the thing is like, you have no idea how they're going to present your information, how many people are going to see it, unless you're starting to pay a ton of money. Then you can control a little bit more around that. But your average post, if you don't boost it, I believe the new statistic I heard for another guy that does a lot of social media work with companies, it's about 3.5% of your posts of people that like you will see your posts. So if you have 100 followers, 100 people that like your page, you send out a post, 3.5 people on average will see that post unless you boost it, which costs money. So it's good. And sometimes things will be viral and they'll catch fire and then they'll be everywhere. So there's that. So you can see it kind of a larger audience, but like there's not as much consistency. So that's why social media and a website go really well, because there's also, if somebody wants the authority for everything that's going on with your parish, then they can see a complete list and they don't have that filtered by an outside company. Email is a great tool. Okay. So again, just to kind of hook this again, these tools work in concert. Email is great because it's a push tool. Now you don't want to write a book. You don't want to have tons and tons and tons and tons of information because it'll be overwhelming. It will be, what you're wanting to do is help to draw people's interest to make them go in further, right? So if you have an article from the bishop or an editorial, what I would do a preview of that, do a part of that, do the introduction for that. Then they click there to see more information. Your emails will also get cut off at a certain period, at a certain length, so they can only be so long before Google or whatever email client you're using is going to clip them off. So having a shorter email is a lot of times a good idea. But the emails can really bring a lot of value to your website because they're a push tool, right? They come at you. You don't have to think about it. With your website, people have to remember to come to your site. They have to think, oh, I wonder what's going on with St. John's Parish. Okay, well, I'm going to go check it out. With email, you don't have to come in. Here's the other thing. Social media right now, as it stands, like there's a very, very, very big audience. I think if Facebook was a country, it'd be like, I don't know, like close to 2 billion.
2 billion.
2 billion folks. So it's a big audience, and there's a lot of growth in different emerging markets and stuff. And obviously there's a lot here in the US, but it is heavily skewed. Almost all of these social networks are heavily skewed towards women. So, and even websites, I think heavily, like the typical breakdown on most parish sites that we do, it's about a 60-40 split, 60% women, 40% men. So, and social media,
It's even heavier.
It's even heavier. And it's not that there aren't, so there's still, say it says, I can't speak from authority there because I don't know what it is, but I know it's heavily skewed. So say it's 70-30. Like, it doesn't mean that there's no men there. It's just not as dominant there. Okay. Email, if you want to try to capture a larger audience, you're going to see a much more even distribution with email, right? So if you're hitting the social media boat real hard, you can't just say, oh, well, we don't need to do email, because I think that's where you're going to get more of an even distribution of women and men in email. because that's not as something as like it just for one reason or another that the social media thing this kind of appeals, like that's more of a connection. I think in the women demographic. For email, those things are used professionally. They're used. You have to have an email account to even get a social media account. So like it's just much more. There's a much bigger base of people that have an email address just because you have to. You have to have one to sign up for any of these services. You have if your most jobs are going to require an email address, so you have a wider audience. So if you can capture those, right? So tips around email, and I'm going to show you a few examples. Tips around email is number one, you need an audience. So you have to be very diligent about collecting email addresses. If you don't have them, you can't use them. So number one, build good email lists. Got to do that. Several years ago, sorry, I need to take a note so I don't forget. So email lists. And use a tool. So, all right, sorry.
You do have one more question that's come in, so.
All right, we'll get there. All right. Okay, so build good email lists. When the Diocese of Wichita, when they were actually thinking about canceling their diocesan newspaper, they were going to do like a quarterly like magazine thing, and then they were going to do email. Ended up not happening. But what they did, which I think was brilliant, is they had like a they went out to each parish, or they told each parish, hey, we'd like you to collect email addresses. So they gave them forms, they gave them the paperwork, and they said, you just put these in the pews, you collect them in the collection basket, so have people, write in their name and their email address, put it in the collection basket, and then so they have it announced at Mass, and then they'd collect them, and then you just send that envelope, put them all into an envelope, send it to the diocese, and the diocese will transcribe all of them, put them all together, right? And then the promise was that the diocese was then going to go and give the parish the list of emails, right? I don't think that ever happened.
Not for us to worry about.
Not for us to worry about, right? Okay, but probably just a logistics thing. How do we? But anyway, but their big strategy was to get a big email list that then they could go and use, because the theory there of replacing the newspaper with a magazine and then supplementing it with weekly emails wouldn't have ever worked if they wouldn't have had a good list. So build a good list, find a way to do that. If you're at the parish level, I love that parish email Sunday, to where you have those little slips of paper, you write the name and email address, put it in the collection basket, and start to collect those on your forms, on whatever else. From a diocesan level, you're going to need a better strategy to try to get those from the parishes. Go parish by parish and have them download off of their lists, their parish management software or whatever.
Right.
Those lists are out there, but you got to build them well. Number two, make it easy and consistent. Our diocese does a pretty darn good job of having consistent emails. Let me show you what those look like. And then I'm going to criticize them. So, sorry. I don't know. I'm going to tell how they could make, there's opportunities to become better. Hey, I'm just going to give you the truth. And if you don't like it, well, that's okay. Maybe you don't like my opinion. That's right. You don't have to. I'm not asking you to. Let's see here. All right. So, actually, most of what they do is very, very good, but it's actually very, very good. Okay, so they send out this is their email. It is done through Constant Contact, I believe, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Sorry, I'm going to shrink the window here a little bit so you guys can see a little bit better. Okay, so it comes into my inbox. Again, harvested. It's been coming to me for years. They use great images in here. And then, this is the things that happen. They have their stories usually on the right-hand side. They do use this for some advertisements. There's another advertisement. There's another deal. They break up stories with this nice little thing. So they got some styling elements that are very nice here. And they give a lot of good news stories. For me, in particular, this is what I think, it's a little bit carried away with the amount of content. And a lot of times, so the message has been clipped. There's a little bit more information here. They couldn't view the entire message down here at the bottom. They have a side column full of things. They have a Q&A. So a lot of these are articles that come out of their newspaper. My one criticism would really be just around the fact of trying to shorten it up. They use good images. They bring a lot of attraction to the story. And see, here you notice it doesn't link. So what they could do is they could help shorten things up a lot by just giving the first part of the story, maybe an image, and then click to read more, and then to redirect to people's to the website. Putting all of the information on there makes it a little overwhelming sometimes, and then you get a little bit of confusion as far as which story begins, where does it end. It gets a little busy. So I think, you know, just making it a little bit shorter, a little less dense here would probably go a long ways. And there's a lot of like additional features, right, that they have. So they have a comic, which is cool, actually, like that one. But they have these different videos that they add onto the side. They have this different Q&A, Catholic Answers, movie reviews. You might want to shorten that up into like a list of quick links, right? That would link directly to the website, that would have an engaging format. So you could have a button that set, instead of putting all the movie reviews, maybe you put one, maybe two, and then you have, you know, click here for movie reviews. Or, you know, you don't include it all together. You just have a button. You have a list of buttons on the one side that says movie reviews. So, Travis, what do you think about my critical level of criticalness?
Not too bad.
I made that up. It's okay. It's okay. All right.
More like advice.
Advice. So again, putting the whole entire story here, you end up pushing things down further and further and further. Just like on a web page, right? I wouldn't put all of your stories all out there, the whole thing. Otherwise, you have this long home page that's just a little overwhelming, right? So when I was talking this over with Travis, I said, oh yeah, hey, the Lincoln Diocese, they do some cool stuff here, right? So I went to their thing, and they had to be able to subscribe to things. So they have this RSS feed, subscribe to email, right? So there is some stuff here, and you can subscribe to particular columns. Now, our software is smart enough to where you can create RSS feeds, and then you can feed that into FeedBurner, and then people can subscribe. Here's the thing. People, by and large, are not going to subscribe. They're not going to do it. They're not going to put in their email address to subscribe to each one of these columns. There is a certain audience, you know, but you are not going to get the same type of exposure by having people sign up for them. So what you need to do is you need to use another software program like MailChimp, or like our diocese does, Constant Contact, because then you can import in the addresses and then send those things, and then send things directly. Plus, if you have announcements, say you have the new bishop, say you have, you know, whatever the priest assignments or whatever, you know, that's the big popular topic now. Like you can send specific, like something they do for our diocese. Again, they do a great job of this. Like when a priest dies or something like that, a major event, they'll send out things directly. With these RSS readers, you don't have nearly as much control. And I think around something like this, around things like email, you don't want to send people too much email. You don't want to waste that opportunity. So you got to be real careful. So that's where something like MailChimp comes in, or Constant Contact, and does a good job of that. To help out with this, I actually, for a couple of people, I've done this, but Nebraska, the Diocese of Lincoln here is one of them. What I did is I essentially created a special page that had these previews all built in. So the idea here is make it easy. Put all of your news into the website, and then the website can generate the pictures for you, the links for you. Again, like it can be tedious. And I'm sure putting together that email, if I were to guess for the Diocese of Wichita, that is a tedious undertaking of copying all of that in, right? But for this, as you can see, we could just go here, and maybe that one would be a little bit off, but we could just copy this because so this is a specialized page that I created that kind of shortens things up, puts things in a certain format, forces the pictures to be certain sizes and such. Now I copy that, and then we'll log into just our regular old MailChimp account. I can't remember which account this will go to, but we'll just see what it goes. Okay, so in MailChimp, this is kind of how it works. We'll create a campaign called campaigns. Create an email. Oh, yeah, MailChimp's starting to do things with Facebook and things like that, but we're just going to do like power test. Begin. Which list are we going to send it to? We'll send it. Oh, yeah, that's what we use for our Christmas letters for our family, which actually works really well. I'm going to send it to the entire list, which is 0 people on this. Okay, blah blah blah. Email subject.
Actually, you can just jump right to design.
Okay. Oh, another tip around email subjects. Don't make it generic. Don't send to like monthly updates from the Diocese of Lincoln, whatever. Like, I'd probably put something that's a little bit more specific that would say, one of the particular headlines would be good to help bring, again, your email subject's going to draw attention. So next. Oh, you said go directly to design. Is that how we?
That's okay. You're all right.
So themes, layouts, you can do different ones. Maybe we'll just do a basic here. The idea here is that we can just kind of copy and paste our content is really what we want to be able to do. So if I go into here is it's time to design your email. If we can just copy and paste that information in, right, we have made this way easier for ourselves. Again, all the links here, read more, right? If you want to read more into this story, you don't have to custom, do all of these links by hand. That can be a kind of a crazy making thing. And there could be probably a little bit of things that could be done on our end to make this even more straightforward, but you include your logo, you create a thing. You're ready to send. Basically, my point here is make it easy for yourself. Don't make this super complex where you're having to reformat this. If you can have some type of automated system, this can really help. I also do this for another parish, Blessed Sacrament. Again, I just created, this is part of our system. We created a customized little email send to where they have all of this. I even put the header in here for them. Oops. So now if you just copy from top to bottom, copy, and I'll change this out. We'll just delete what's here. If I just copy and paste, now the whole darn thing is in there, right? So from title to all of the particular stories, good to go without a whole lot of fuss or mess. So build your email lists, make your emails reasonable in size, link to the stories in your website so you can shorten them up a little bit, and use a tool. The big players in this, MailChimp and Constant Contact, there are other boutique items that you can certainly work with. MailChimp is free for up to 2,000 subscribers. And then after that you pay, but it's very, very reasonable on price. Constant Contact, I don't think has any free plans, but again, very reasonable to send, especially with the amount of good that comes from this, the amount of people that you connect with. It's really, really good. Constant Contact will also, or these tools will help your emails from going to spam. Don't send these in a big list. So again, from the diocese, I don't think you'd ever do this, but even from the parish level, don't send an email to more than 30 people. Don't put them on a big email list in Gmail or Microsoft or Outlook or whatever, because you will start to get on spam lists. It's not good policy. Use a tool like this because it has all of the required elements, like, you have to have your physical address listed. You have to have an unsubscribe button. And if you don't do things like that, you're going to end up on spam lists. There was a guy that was, for our own parish, and he was having a tough time with the fact that on Gmail, depending on how you have it set up, there is some like a newsletter or promotions tab that it automatically filters by. And a lot of times subscriptions like this are going to fall in there, but that's okay. Like, again, you can try to break the rules, but in the end, if you want Google, they ain't going to be fooled. If you're trying to send it out like a personal email and it's not, you're going to get in a spam filter. It's not going to be a good thing. So go ahead and play with the rules. And again, if people don't want your newsletter, then they won't read it and they're not going to look in that tab. So don't think that you can get around, some of those particular restrictions. That was a lot.
It was a lot. We can keep going, but
I know that's about all I have.
If you're able and willing to jump into it, it's worth doing.
Very, very, very effective digital marketing. Low cost, high return. Super high return, I think.
Yep. All right, so we got about 5 minutes left here. One more question from Adrian at St. Bonaventure in Huntington Beach, California. How can I create a direct URL like stbonaventureparish.org/youth ministry? We do already have youth ministry on the site under stbonaventureparish.org/faith formation/youth ministry, but how can I add it under the more direct URL also?
All right, good question. So URL forwarding, there's not a direct tool that does that. We can, if you have control over your domain, again, I can't remember in this case if we do or they do, but we've definitely had certain cases where we will set things at the domain level to forward on, right? So if you wanted a special address, stbonaventure.com/youth, then we could take one of the other pages and forward it on. Just like a lot of times we have some of the Catholic schools that we work with, most of their addresses would be, say at Blessed Sacrament, would be blessedsacramentwichita.com/school. But maybe they want to have a direct URL as well that's like, Blessed Sacrament CatholicSchool.com, and that would then forward on. So there's some different things you can do with like forwarding at your domain, at the domain level, and play around with that. But in this case, if you kind of want to do this at any time by yourself, the best way is just to kind of recreate that structure at another URL. And it's actually not as hard as you might think. So if I go here into St. Bonaventure and log in, this basically, so all of the URLs, how a page gets at its address is all through the menu item alias. So the current item here, so if I go to the main menus and then main menu, I'm going to see in here as I go down a little bit further, faith formation. Okay, and so the one I was looking at is faith formation and then youth ministry, right?
Yep.
Okay. I get rid of this, I get rid of that, I get rid of that. Okay. So if I go into faith formation, I notice that the alias for faith formation is faith-formation. And then how this works is basically the URLs are going to get added on top of each other with a slash in the middle. So if youth ministry is a sub menu item, it's going to be the parent menu, parent alias slash then its alias. So in this case, the youth ministry page is going to be faith-formation slash youth-ministry. And so you can see that reflected in here, faith-formation slash youth ministry. Now, if you wanted to change that URL, right, I could go ahead and go into youth ministry, the item here, and I could change its alias. So I could, if you wanted to, instead of youth ministry, you could just do youth, you would change the alias, and that's all of a sudden going to change the URL for that particular page. I don't want to do that in this case. But if you want to have something be just slash youth, you have to put it at the top level. Now, you don't want to do that in your main menu. Otherwise, you're going to see youth as one of the main menu items. For every parish that we work with, though, we create another set of menus. So if you hover over menus, you should see secondary menu and hidden menu. These are other sub-menus that we offload these items that still can have their own website addresses, but they don't appear in the main menu. Okay, so let's just take this case. So if I want to make youth ministry also appear under just /youth, what I do is I would click next to this one, and I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and hit copy. I'm going to copy this menu item, and then I'm going to go and put it into either the hidden menu or the secondary menu. I think in this case, actually, there's one actually right there. Somebody already might have done it. So you just hit, you would hit, basically, you don't want to make it a child of another menu item. So in this case, you'd hit right underneath secondary menu item, you'd hit add this menu, and you'd hit process. What that will do is it'll make a copy. Now, I don't want to do that because there's already one out here, so I'm going to go ahead and check it out. So underneath hidden menu, actually, no, it was secondary. Yep, secondary menu. There was youth ministry. So here it is. So now if you wanted to change that URL or whatever, you certainly can do that. But it currently connects to the...
Looks like just a faith formation.
So it looks like this might have been tried to be done. Let me see.
No, it makes sense. Adrian was probably
laying in here. So you came real close. Actually, you should call it youth. Yeah,
just youth ministry with no dash.
See what you did. Close. Okay, so we have a menu item. It goes somewhere. So the only thing, right, is, oh, I copied the wrong one. So I'm going to delete it. Sorry, Adrian. This is work you did. Trash. Goodbye. Okay, I'm going to go through my original steps here. Go to the main menu. Go to... The thing is we set lots of different parameters and things like that. So you want to make sure all of that stuff comes along for the ride. So copying it is just the safest option. So check beside it.
But Adrian, you had the right idea.
Absolutely.
You moved down the right path.
Okay, so add to this menu, hit copy. So now I'll have a copy of that particular item. So if I go now into the secondary menu, I should see youth-ministry, and I think she changed the URL to just youth ministry. So we'll assume that she was doing the right thing. And you'll notice that the category is youth ministry because it's a copy of the other menu item. So now if I go there, I should see their youth ministry stories, whatever they might be, or I did something wrong and I didn't save. Oh, it says it already has a similar alias. The reason is because it's in the trash. So let's, yeah. So
basically, Al couldn't do it because the one that he trashed still stays in the system. So
yep.
Until you normally wouldn't encounter this problem unless you'd already created it and thrown it away. So we're going to get rid of it altogether and then just walk back through those steps real quick. Actually,
all we need to do is just change the alias. Basically, two items can have the same alias. Otherwise, the system doesn't know where on earth do we go to. There it is. There's the items up here on that page.
And then if you decide, Adrian, that you want to change it to just be youth, all you have to do is go back in there and change that alias again to just youth.
Yep. There you go. So now people can access the URL from both places. If people do go here and they click on youth ministry, you know, it'll just take them straight to, you know, those particular items. So they can access it from either way. So there you go. All right. Well, we're at the hour and 4 minutes of power. So there we are. We had some questions we didn't get to. This was great. I'm really glad that we had a lot more people submit questions this time. That makes the show a lot more interesting, and you don't have to hear about as much about Travis and I's adventures. But maybe
those are exciting.
Which one? Next time, maybe we should do this on the laptop, and then we can give people a tour of Saluzio.
Sure.
Somebody had asked about that last time. Should have done that. So tune in next time for a tour, if we can remember, of the Saluzio offices. We'll show you around.
Remembered
some of the folks. We've got a great place that we went from here. A lot of great people to give people a little bit of experience, and I think it's a good thing.
Sure.
So, let's do it. If you have other suggestions, things like that, again, we are here to serve you guys. Make sure that your sites, your you know, these tools are effective for you. So if you have tips, or if you have tips for us or suggestions, certainly let us know. Keep submitting questions so we can make this interesting and yeah, make it a worthwhile tool. Tell your friends.
Yes.
Tell your friends. Tell them to come. Ask questions. I don't know. They don't even have to be a Solucio client. I don't know. I'll answer
It's
any
true.
kind of question. I don't care. Yeah. Here we are. Again, we're just here to keep that moving on. And I removed. Oh, dang it! From last time, I had somebody say for the preview there was a toilet paper roll. I think it was here. So they were freaked out. So I put it down here, but apparently it was still kind of there. So anyway, I'll try to clean up my office.
It's a nice little Easter egg.
It was
All right.
a little bit. So like maybe next time, like it's just like spot the toilet paper. You know, like a little game.
Like where's Waldo?
Yeah, right
Oh,
on
with toilet paper.
with toilet paper.
All right.
That's way better. Cool. All right. Well, thanks you for joining us.
Thanks,
hopefully
guys.
You got a lot out of this, and well, it was fun to just talk for an hour. So, all right. See you later. See you next
Have a
time.
good weekend.